The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. The presenters are not financial advisors, and the opinions presented should not be construed as financial advice. Trading cryptocurrency carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Before deciding to invest in cryptocurrency, you should carefully consider your investment objectives, level of experience, and risk appetite. You should be aware of all the risks associated with cryptocurrency trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. Past performance is not indicative of future results.
Welcome, everybody. Very special Sunday afternoon, Mother's Day. A big shout out to all you wonderful mothers out there. It's a very special day. First of all, welcome to the CryptoShyp radio show. We say CryptoShyp. Ship is spelled with a Y. We say our why is about you. What we do on this show is navigate the cryptocurrency space, and it's because it has a tendency to be turbulent and volatile. So what we want to do on this show is bring you the stories behind the stories. One of our goals is to bring you vehicles that are safe. We're working on that. As a matter of fact, I got some special guests today, and let me just talk about a couple things first. If you had asked me when I woke up today, would I be on the radio today alone? I don't think I would have foreseen that. And my awesome co-host, Angie Tabio, will be here in about 30 minutes because she had some things to take care of. And I want to acknowledge her and my awesome guest that I have right now. I brought my mother into the studio. She wasn't expecting to say anything, and I don't expect her to say anything, but you want to say hi?
Hi.
Did that come through? Yeah, okay. So I can tell you this for a fact, and talk about gratitude and being grateful for a minute. Life throws curveballs at us all the time, whether they're personal, financial, relationship, whatever comes at you. To be able to not be knocked off your commitment and follow through is what life is about. That's where the gifts really are. And when I get a phone call 20 minutes before the radio show saying that I'm going to be leading the show with pretty much no support, except for, of course, my mom here, the first instinct is to say, oh my God, maybe we should postpone the show, like turn left right before you hit the finish line. But, there's our plan that we put in place, and then there's God's plan that usually interrupts our plan. And it's up to us to be grateful for what shows up in life and then embrace it and step into it and actually see what we're made out of. So very special thank you to my mom. I don't think I'd be sitting here in this station at this point in my life if it wasn't for her, you, Mom, right across from me.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the compliment.
You're welcome. And she's been an amazing support to me throughout my life. We're a team, we're a unit, we work on things together. And I've gone through a lot in my life where people thought I was crazy at one point. I've gone the entrepreneurial journey in a lot of different ways, and it's a lot. You have to sometimes color outside the lines, right? Like you're doing right now in your word search puzzle.
That's right.
Sometimes you have to color outside the lines to find your true path. And for me, I think sitting in a chair like this, speaking to you, everybody out there, and creating content is really what I want to be doing. Ultimately, just content after content after content, no matter what that looks like, whether it's collaboration or on my own, is really where I want to end up being. And I'd say this is a win to be able to lead the show without any support, kind of pull the safety net out and go for it. So thank you to my co-host, Angie Tabio, for being not on time and giving me the opportunity to actually do this. And let me talk about a couple, and it's all much appreciated. Like, am I nervous? Absolutely 100%. But again, God doesn't give us anything we can't overcome. And embrace it and enjoy it. A couple things. Angie and I, one of the things we started this show for was to build a community around different cryptocurrency, not only bring you stories behind the stories and, tell you what's going on with cryptocurrency best we can. As again, her and I are not experts on this stuff. We just really enjoy the conversation. But one of our intentions is to actually build a community around certain vehicles that her and I are testing out. And I can say with confidence that I turned on a trading bot last night that we've been talking about, and it's already made me $3 in the last not even 24 hours. And that's pretty good because it's a long time coming. We've been waiting for this to launch and be usable for a couple months now. And as soon as I turned it on, it's turning a profit. So we'll be bringing you more of that. It's called EasyBot. You may have heard us mention it. And we'll be bringing more information about that as we go. Is he on? Okay. So I have another guest I'll be speaking to in a minute. I want to talk to you all really quick about something else, though. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if you had talked about that we would have been in lockdown in a pandemic, all this crazy stuff that we've gone through in the last 2-3 years, people would have looked at you, even longer than that. Let's go back 4 years because, my God, it's already 2 years since 2020, right? It's like
almost 2.5.
Everything's accelerating. So go back to 2018, 2017. If someone had said at that point, the whole world's going to change in 2020. Everybody's going to be, there's going to be a lot of sick people. The financial system is going to start changing. We're going to be in lockdown for 6 months to a year. There's going to be a major pandemic. People would have looked at you and said, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're kind of crazy, and then go about their business. And lo and behold, 4 years later, it's already in the rear view. In that same vein, if you had said 2 years ago that there were going to be food shortages, people would have looked at you and said, you're a little crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist. And lo and behold, if you're watching the news, they're actually talking about it. Give me 1 second, get a drink of water here. It's in the news. They're talking about it. They're starting to drip the information. That's how they basically seed the narrative for the thing to actually happen down the road. If you're watching Fox or you're watching CNN or you're listening to the radio or you're listening to any of these, you might say, mainstream media sources, the narrative is already shifting to shortages. If you remember, during the pandemic, we had toilet paper shortages, right? Some of the stores across the country are already experiencing food shortages. I've seen people talk about in rural areas where people have had these collectives where they're, sharing harvests. Like even those are starting to go a little bit scarce. If someone had said 2 years ago there's going to be a bunch of food shortages in a couple of years, you might think that they were crazy. Now, in that respect, you can see it and ignore it, see it and prepare for it, or see it and actually take advantage of it and do something about it. And my next guest, who I'm going to bring on in just a minute, his name is Jim Gale. He's done an amazing job of seeing the problem way ahead of time and having no fear with what he's been doing and creating what's called, and this is his website, www.foodforestabundance.com. And what he's done in a very short amount of time, and I'm going to let him kind of explain how long he's been doing this for, but I would say it's less than 2 years, maybe even less than a year and a half he's been doing this. He's been effectively, nationally and internationally, in almost every state and in multiple countries, helping homeowners and maybe businesses, I'll have to clarify, turn their lawns into food forests to help people break away from the food, where our food comes from, like the supply chain, right? Not be dependent on, say, government, not be dependent on, say, going to the store all the time. And it's amazing. I think I first became aware of Jim in 2020 when we were in lockdown. I became aware of a lot of stuff when we were forced to stay at home, and it's like all you could do was sit on the internet and look at stuff. I became aware of Jim on Facebook. Him and I became friends really quickly. We've talked ever since. I went and checked out, and I think this is what happened for me. In about 2021, when everything started to kind of like change a little bit, I started to understand where I was putting my commitments and what kind of ventures I was supporting. And I said, you know what? I really, really want to just support things that are going to change the world for the good. And that's when I turned to Jim's project and I said, I really want to support you. I don't know what it looks like just yet. It just makes sense to do something with you, work with you, be friends with you, whatever that looks like, right? So I went and checked out one of his jobs. We're in South Florida. He's in Orlando, but he does this all around the country and in multiple countries. I went out and checked out one of his jobs up in Orlando, and it was this amazing home, big house on the lake, and they were doing like a huge yard, and they were planting trees that were going to grow, all kinds of different fruits and vegetables, and it's just like an amazing vision to not be fearful of the possibility that there will be, not that there may be food shortages, that there will be food shortages, right? To ignore it when they're actually telling us what's happening is a choice, right? But it's also a choice to say you see a problem in the world and then you're going to bring a solution because you see it, you know it's coming, and you understand that the powers that be, what their actual plan might be. So what I'm going to do is, Jim's on the line. I'm going to bring him on. We're going to talk about him, but also this, because this is a crypto show, I want to keep it in the vein of cryptocurrency. We're actually going to talk about his cryptocurrency. I believe it's called Topia as well. So let's bring on Jim.
Hello, Benjamin.
Jim, how are you, buddy?
Brother, I'm doing great, and appreciate you having me on the show to get the message out to more people.
Yeah.
Victor Hugo said there's one thing stronger than all of the armies of the world, and that is an idea whose time has come. Well, I know a lot of you might think this is too simplistic, but when we turn half of our 40 million acres of lawn in the United States alone into regenerative edible landscapes that take less maintenance than lawns and provide massive abundance and habitat for life, that will reverse mass extinction and deforestation, cancer, heart disease, and diabetes trends, and it will literally wipe out all of the forms of tyranny because we will have our own food at our fingertips.
It's amazing. It's so counterintuitive to how we've learned about how to take care of our homes and how to take care of the lawn and make the lawns look really good. And we put chemicals on our lawn, and it's just so much work to take care of a lawn, right? Just to have it look good, to impress the HOA. And what you're doing is, even with HOAs, most of the time you can figure out a way to do it. So how many countries are you actually in right now? I mean, where have you done this?
So we launched on the high wire with Dell Big Tree about 12 months ago, and we are now in about 48 U.S. states and helping people in about 20 countries to grow food. And what's exciting is how it's growing exponentially. And now we're adding layers of services, including Topia, which is the first crypto that I'm aware of that is directly linked to food production. So that mining Topia is literally growing food.
Talk more about that. What is it? How does that work? Or is that Magnus's department?
No, I would love to talk about
please.
it. It's so simple that it's kind of mind-blowing. When people out there commit to growing food ethically, which means without poisons, then they receive Topia for that commitment. They actually become the holders of the currency. So what
That's
this
amazing.
does, it does several things. It incentivizes food production, turning people's food forests, their yards, into a bank where they can now trade the value of their asset. They can trade their excess on the market. And another major component, most cryptos are mined by an energy and time expense. Topia mining process is actually an asset to society and not a liability. The mining of Topia means growing food, which solves all the world's major problems.
That's profound. Now, where did this vision originate for you from? When did you first get this idea?
It was 15 years ago, 2007, when I had my first two daughters, which changed how I looked at the world and the future. I learned permaculture, which is a sustainable agricultural design science, and I red-pilled. I learned what the real problems are and who's responsible for the poisons and the poison production. Not just the physical poisons, but the poisons that we see on the mainstream media every day. When I learned those three things, I went through about 2 years of rabbit hole, of cognitive dissonance and suffering, but I'm an optimist. Then I read Bill Mollison's quote. The quote is, "Though the problems of our world are increasingly complex, the solutions remain embarrassingly simple." And I started to sob, and I've spent the last 15 years obsessed with the solutions.
Yeah, I think you and I kind of see things similarly. Like, problems seem so complicated, but when we come up with solutions, they're usually pretty simple, and they solve multiple problems all at once.
Yep.
So
they do.
You said something in there. I want to, because I don't know that all of our listeners know what this stuff means, and I kind of want to go over a little bit. When you said you red-pilled, that means you kind of woke up from some stuff? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's when I learned that the word govern means to manage or control, and the word mente means mind. And I learned that the governmentes around the world are responsible for the death and destruction of our planet. And the opposite of mind control is light mente, or consciousness. So we are going through what some people call the apocalypse, which simply means lifting the veil or unmasking. It means we're waking up to the truth, which includes the solutions.
You know I love language. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And you have your ways of seeing these words, and I have my own, and together they're pretty powerful. Like, personally, when I started looking at, this is even before I met you, like the word govern, right? It means a number of different things, including the stuff that you said. And I like to look at language from a holistic approach, to look what's the entire story that's being told, right? And where's the overlapping truths in the definitions in the story. And for me, when I looked at the word govern, it actually means to steer, like STEER. Not only that, if you think about how car engines are made, and they put governors on the engine so you can't go over like 101 mile an hour or 110, it also means to limit. So our to govern means not only to mind control, but to also steer, right? Also, it means to limit what maybe limit spirit. We have to kind of fill in some blanks on that. But if you also think about it, because it goes a lot deeper than that, and we're going to go a little conspiracy theory stuff over here, okay? If that's all right with everybody listening. You know, our birth certificates are on stock paper. I think some people know that, some people don't. It's basically a stock certificate that is used for a lot of different reasons in our country, on Wall Street and things like that. But not only is it that, the word steer also is cattle. So to steer is to actually make people cattle and make money off of them. So there's a lot in that word that you mentioned. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, buddy. It's amazing how our language is the language of enslavement. It has been subverted. In fact, about 100 years ago, J.P. Morgan commissioned a group to study the most influential newspapers in the U.S. And they purchased 75 of these influential newspapers with their team of slave masters, and that was for one purpose. That was to control the mind of their asset.
That's crazy. That's amazing, actually.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And that's the problem. So in permaculture, we like to turn the problem into the solution. The problem is a programmed, governed mind. The solution is a free mind. And freedom starts with the heart and the mind, with faith and courage. Faith that we are more than this physical body, that we are spirit in the midst of a divine experience, or some like to think of it as a divine game. And so what's the win of the game? Well, the win of the game is freedom and abundance. Maybe for some people, it might be the Garden of Eden, might be the actual win. And that is not a utopic fantasy, but it's the next logical step for humanity.
Well, it's funny. We've been conditioned, I'm sure you'd agree, that the world is scarce, that there's not enough, that things can run out. And, I went through my own little bit of awakening about 10 years ago, and it was like learning that how abundant the world actually is when you look at it just a little bit differently. There's more than enough for everybody. There's more than enough money. There's more than enough wealth. There's more than enough food for everybody. And it's interesting watching what's happening with our financial systems. There's a change happening, and there's a number of things that are going to happen over the next year or so, maybe even the next 6 months to 18 months. And I see a lot of people, they're afraid of what's going to happen, and warranted. A little bit of fear might be appropriate, but if you think about it, our financial system and our way of living, it doesn't work for everybody. There are a lot of people that are suffering in poverty. There's a lot of people that are homeless. There's a lot of people that are not making it. There's a lot of people that are conditioned to think about money in such a way so that they always have none. They're like paycheck to paycheck. That's a lot of people. We have a system that people want to hold on to and are afraid to let go that really doesn't work that well. It works really well for, say, the elites and the people at the top. And there are people that can do really well in our system, but you can, again, only reach so high with that. Speak to the future of the kind of stuff that you're doing, how it plays into, say, abundance for everybody.
I love it. So the first thing I like to shed light on is the BS narrative that we have too many people on this planet. Our food currently comes from approximately 1,500 miles away here in the United States. That's half the country away. That is insane. When we use our resources wisely, there's no limit to the amount of people we have. We just have to use our resources in a regenerative way. And I'll give a couple examples. My buddy in northern Minnesota on the tip of Lake Superior, he has a food forest that he started 5 years ago. And it is so expansive because that's what nature is. Nature is an abundance factory. When you design and install according to natural processes, you could literally leave a food forest for 30 years or 5,000 years, and you come back and you've got a mega food forest. So his food forest, he estimates that tens of thousands of edible plants have been planted in the forest around his property because the wind and the rain and the birds and the animals come in and they eat it, and then they go out and poop and they put seeds into the forest. So the Garden of Eden, and not the religious place of control, but the place of abundance, is the way it's meant to be. And the other one is the Amazon rainforest. Look this up on Google. The Amazon rainforest was a designed food forest 5,000 years ago.
I think I've heard that before. So how do they know that?
Well, they have LiDAR, and they have all these technologies where these people that study, the archaeologists study, they can see where the roads were, they can see where the cities were, and they can study the plants in the area, and they can see the density and diversity of food-producing plants in a way that their theory is that it must have been planted by the people who live there.
That's amazing. Listen, I really appreciate what you're doing in the world, Jim. You know, I've been trying to do stuff with you for a while. I'm glad we're able to have you on the show. If anybody wants to find out more about what Jim's doing, just go to foodforestabundance.com. Submit your information. They'll give you a call. Basically, what you do is you give them a design based on their landscape design, correct?
That's right. Every design we do is custom. And we've created a process. We have 45 professional food forest designers. And we've created a process that makes the price incredible. We can even finance the installation of food forests now. Yeah.
That's great. And that financing piece, that's kind of recent, right?
Very recent, yes.
And now you're also helping people with, like, solar solutions, are you not?
Yes, anything to get us off the grid, decentralized. We're even creating a completely off-grid, beautiful community on a private lake with a runway so we can have a studio and demonstrate what freedom looks like every day.
Talk about that. So first of all, hold on. Amazing, isn't it, Mom?
Unreal.
Yeah, I don't think she really understood.
It's exciting.
Yeah, the depth of what you're doing. Now, talking about what you just touched on, you've seen, speaking to Mom, I'm kind of pointing to my mom. You've seen Atlas Shrugged, right?
Right.
The book?
Of course.
Ayn Rand.
Of course.
So what Jim is talking about, do you mind me sharing a little bit more about what you just touched on?
Please do.
Okay, so he's built a completely off-grid break. Okay. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's take the break, and we'll come back and talk about that just a little bit more. This is CryptoShyp Radio. I'm Benjamin Chatson. Welcome back, CryptoShyp Radio.
Welcome back.
And Angie has made it. She joined us. Welcome, Angie. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, my darling. It's been an interesting day today. I know I'll make it through, but yeah, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
That's right.
And you've been doing a great job. And if I had faith in you, I wouldn't have.
Nest, right? Gotta fly
I wouldn't have
right?
let you start the half an hour. I started doing stuff, and I wanted to blow dry my hair, and then I was just bawling because today would have been my sister's 56th birthday. And she passed away 3 years ago. So every 4 years, her birthday fell on Mother's Day. So, okay, of course, this year.
Mine too.
Mine too. So she's 12, so it does happen, right?
So was my sister. Yeah.
So
nice. So it's a very emotional day for me, but I made it.
It's a great week for me. I celebrate all week long.
Yeah, the whole week long. Jim,
there, right?
is he there?
Yes, I am.
OMG, Jim.
Did you know?
I am so, I've been listening. He's just amazing what he has started and what a blessing. God will always give us a vision of a blessing, and it's our responsibility to pick up, take off, and run. And that's what he's done, and I couldn't be more proud and blessed of,
Have you seen pictures
knowing
of what he's
you.
Done?
Yeah, meeting you through Ben
and
the work that you're doing. God bless you.
Maybe.
Well, thank you. I do have something really exciting to share. We just got word of a $50 million donation coming our way.
Woo!
And we are going to use this money to put food forests in schools throughout the United States.
Wow.
That's great.
That's beautiful. Lord knows the schools need them. Need all the support that they can get. So thank you in advance for your support, Jim, and your wife.
Yes.
And I can imagine how many different industries you're overlapping into that's just going to help a lot of things expand. So coming back to what we were talking about right before break. So some of you out there may have seen or read a movie or read a book called Atlas Shrugged. It's a movie about totalitarianism, tyrannical governments, and what happens to the United States at some point in the future, however everything gets consolidated down into government, where there's like one company for the railways, one company for this, gas is $40 a gallon. It's like this interesting look at the possible future of what could happen. And in that movie, the theme that is in that movie, it's basically they keep saying, and you don't really get it until later in the movie, they just keep saying this question: who is John Galt? Right? Who is John Galt? Who is John Galt?
Who is John
They
Galt?
keep saying, who is John Galt? And for those of you that have seen the movie or read the book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the movie or read the book, it's a trilogy. It's a 3-part movie. I'm not sure about the books because I haven't read it. I think they were written in the 1950s, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Definitely recommend reading it. It'll draw some interesting parallels to what's actually happening right now and what could happen if things keep going.
She's a fascinating writer.
Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand.
Yeah, Ayn Rand. AYNRAND. Now, the point of that is that before break, Jim was talking about this community that he's built up in Central Florida. It's actually called Galt's Landing. And if you if you go to Galt, he's all about it, right?
Awesome.
So if you go to galtslanding.com, you'll actually see the property, you'll see the homes, that kind of thing. So
beautiful.
We're supposed to take a trip up there and see it.
Oh, let's go.
Want to do that?
I would love to.
We're all coming up,
going
Jim.
for the field trip? Everybody on a field trip?
John Galt was the mastermind of putting all the great minds together to save civilization.
I don't give away the movie.
Oh, wow.
You just
Thanks,
gave it away.
Mom. Now I'm definitely going to watch the movie.
Yeah, it's good.
And I love reading the books because the books are always better.
The book is amazing.
Always. So I think I'm going to get the book first and then watch the movie.
So how's the community coming along?
Well, so the website, we took the website offline because we sold out right away.
Oh, wow. Okay, never mind.
We have, yep, so if anybody's interested, they could go to our foodforestabundance.com website, and we are now planting thousands of fruit trees and berry bushes, and we've already got over 200 different types of food growing on the property. We are turning a 3,000-foot fence into a food fence, which will just be epically beautiful and productive. We have a 6-acre pond where we are designing and installing the right plants that are edible and the right fish and the right habitat so it can be incredibly productive, and everything is off-grid.
Wow. That's kind of, it's that last thing you said, it's off-grid.
Grid.
How are you accomplishing this legally?
Okay, so in Florida, if there's a grid available, you have to tie to it. We submitted permits, which is just a bunch of BS, but we submitted permits, and we got approved because there's no grid in the area to do an off-grid community.
That's fascinating.
That is fascinating. And, of course, it's tax deductible because it's agricultural.
Yes, we actually submitted for ecotourism as well. So we are going to be showing people every day what freedom looks like.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, I love it.
Did you get the landing strip? Is that operational?
So it's operational, and we're in contract. We're looking to purchase it. It's a mile-long paved runway. We haven't closed on that yet, though.
Okay, that's awesome, man.
That's awesome.
Really cool stuff, huh?
Oh, really cool. Oh, I love it. And thank you so much for introducing me to him.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jim's a great guy. You know, he's mentioned Del Bigtree. Are you familiar with Del Bigtree?
Mm-mm.
Del Bigtree is a global voice when it comes to, you might say, global tyranny, governmental tyranny. I think and this is like no offense to anybody listening, am I correct that he's against vaccines? Is that his position?
So he's against some vaccines.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen a number of his guests, and like there's another guest. What was his name? The gentleman that talks about the microbiome in the gut. Zach Bush, Dr. Zach Bush. Amazing speaker. And he, when you listen to him, I started listening to him, Zach Bush, right at the beginning of lockdown. And I was like trying to discern in my head what was going on in the world. And we were being told this and we were told this and you have to do this. And like a lot of it didn't make sense to me. So I started doing some research and I found Del Bigtree. And I saw this interview he did with Zach Bush, which is an hour long. It's on YouTube if you guys want to find it. And they were talking about it in a different light, not from a doomsday scenario, but from, what the issue is with, say, our guts and our microbiome and like the ecology of the planet, and how it's like trying to stop the spread of a virus is kind of silly because you can't actually stop that. You have to just kind of let it run its course. But it was an amazing interview he did, and you've been on panels with Del Bigtree, and for those of you out there that also know J.P. Sears, right?
Yes, we just put a food forest in his backyard.
No kidding! Oh my God, that's so awesome! You know J.P. Sears?
Yes, that's awesome.
So hold on, Jim. Do you remember J.P. Sears, Mom?
JP, our JP?
No, not that JP. No. J.P. Sears, I've sent you a couple of his videos. Long red hair, mustache. Yes, that guy. The guy that's like, does comedy. Yeah, so it's one big circle of people, so amazing.
You said one thing, Ben, that we preach so much about: research. We're into the cryptocurrency research. We're offering you the opportunity. We're informing you about the opportunity, but you have to do your own research. Here you said about the grid. You said you didn't know anything about it. You did your research and you found it. So this is why we stress so much the importance of research, doing your own homework, don't believe everything we say, but research. And that's what Jim said. Jim said he started with something, he started doing some research, and here he is today. It's like, what a blessing is that? Right, Jim?
It has been a miraculous ride, especially in the last year. And I want to compel everybody that there is a beautiful future if you tap into it. It's like a vibrational experience. And when we raise our energy and simply enjoy life and start being self-reliant and productive and serving people in ways that also serve ourselves, then we can thrive through this time. And when we catalyze a shift in consciousness leading to mass adoption of a freedom mindset, which is what we are doing, then we become free. The people who jump on board of this wellness train, this abundance train, this freedom mindset are going to thrive. And those who stay engaged with CNN and all of the lies and programs, they are going to suffer. So I'm inviting everybody to thrive with us.
Do you see? Do you see what I'm talking about? Can you imagine if everyone in the world had that type of mindset? What a beautiful world this would be.
Yes,
right, Mom?
I think that's what Gandhi was talking about.
Yes.
Be the change.
Yes.
Right? So
absolutely.
It takes the leaders to stand up, and I don't care what the leader stands for. Every leader is praised, and every leader is also attacked and tried to be torn down. Whether it's a Republican president or a Democratic president, there's always someone trying to tear him down. There's always someone trying to lift him up, cheerlead him. Even if you have a vision like Jim's, people are going to tell you you're nuts.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Do not listen to the opinions of other people. If you see something and it makes sense to bring it to the world, you go for it. And what God is going to do is then support you.
Woo! Yes, amen.
You see the problem in the world. The only thing that's going to stop you is fear. Right? So fear, go ahead. Go ahead,
Jim. I know he's going to say something. Go ahead, Jim.
Go ahead, man.
Well, Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss.
Woo!
Truer words have never been spoken. When we use our emotions as our compass, as our guide, to proper inspired thinking, then we become free. Then we follow divinity. We follow source. We follow the message from somewhere beyond our capability to understand. When we do that through meditation and allowing the mind to relax, that's how we start changing our hearts and our minds. And then once that starts happening, then people around us get inspired. And then they want to do it. And that's how we change the world.
It's really literally change from the inside out. And it's
by one person at a time.
Change never comes from the outside in. It does if you're not changing from the inside out.
Absolutely.
If you're trying not to change, the world is going to change and you're going to have to change. If you take initiative and action and be assertive with vision and purpose and mission.
You got tongue-tied there, Ben.
It's called being engaged with life, not just sitting back and taking the blows.
And waiting.
When you engage and you take action and you step into things and you embrace them, universe, God, conspires in ways that you could not imagine. Like, don't think I haven't been telling myself this is my radio show.
Look what happened to you today.
Don't think I haven't spoken it into existence that I would be sitting in this chair without Angie for 30 minutes.
Half an hour.
And while sitting in the car 5 minutes before the show, and she's telling me I'm not going to be there for the first 30 minutes. I'm like,
and I was crying.
And the first instinct when you're presented with, say, what you might call a problem. Another level of that is you can see something as a challenge. And then the highest level of that, as far as I'm concerned, is it's nothing. There are no problems. There are no challenges. There are only gifts.
Absolutely.
And a gift you get to enjoy, and you get to open it up and be awed by it and appreciative of the gift and embrace it and keep it. It's yours.
So you're very welcome, Ben.
Yes, I know. Trust me. Like the minute you did it, like I'm a victim. The minute you were not able to be here, I was just like, of course. Of course.
You did say at the beginning that you're very grateful. I heard you, so you're very welcome.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
100%.
for the
And-
blessing.
He did say that.
He did say that.
Yeah,
I heard
and
him.
it's important to not only
Yes.
be grateful, but actually apply gratitude to the situation.
Absolutely.
To cultivate, or as Jim would say, mine the gift.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So, Jim, you're in Orlando, so we're going to be making a trip. And your beautiful wife, what are you going to be doing with your beautiful wife today on Mother's Day? Is your mom still with us?
Yep.
Absolutely. So, what are you guys planning today?
The family is going to go to Gulf Landing, and we are going to have a meal with some friends, and we are just going to enjoy nature.
Beautiful.
And I have a story to tell. It's a short story. It's a mind-blowing story of how this works.
Go ahead.
How we can connect.
Go ahead.
So about 4 or 5 months ago, a woman named Alova, she has one name. It's Alova, A-L-O-V-A, which means noble love. This woman calls me up and says, Jim, I love your idea, your vision of food forests everywhere. I'd like to be on your team. And we said, wonderful, because that's how we do it. And she comes aboard and she starts doing installs, and then she's friends with a billionaire. And the billionaire says, hey, we want to put some money into society and help society out. What should we do? Alova calls me up and says, Jim, where can we put money? What can we do? And I said, we'll put food forests at schools. And she brought that to the billionaire, and the billionaire said, oh, my God, I'm in. Mm-hmm. Then Alova passes away from a brain aneurysm about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, she transitioned, right, to the other side. That's
Amen. Mm-hmm.
The day after she transitioned, we get a message from the donor saying that they are going to make this donation in the name of Alova. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to step back in history. Imagine it's 20, 30, 40, 50, even 100 years from now, and we're looking back on history, and the single most important thing that happened, that catalyzed the shift in consciousness, was a donation putting food forests in schools in the name of noble love.
Oh, yes, yes. And you know what, Jim? This is what I stress is because I go to a lot of networkings. Of course, we haven't been able to connect in the last 2 years and do networking events, but it's all boils down to relationships. The importance of building beautiful relationships. This woman will never be forgotten. The donation will never be forgotten. And like you said, it will go down as history.
Yes, in the name of love.
In the name of love.
I always say, because people get so blinded by mechanisms, like this thing to make money or that thing I got to do, I think we forget who's standing next to us.
Yeah.
The possibilities are in the people, always.
I love you, Ben.
I love you too, Angie.
I love you, Mom.
And me too.
Because without Mom, there wouldn't be a Ben.
Not in the thing.
That's very true.
Absolutely.
We get so caught up in the thing and forget about the people that we're standing next to. And I can attest, no matter what venture or crazy idea I've ever gotten into that didn't work out, I've taken a valuable relationship along with me.
Yes, an experience.
And built a team along the way. So I got to say, Jim, I always love the energy that you bring to a conversation.
Thank you, Jim. Yes.
Right? So hopefully the people that are listening got some inspiration from this, because it could be considered a scary time right now. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, if you're up to something and you're going for it, you don't even notice.
Absolutely.
You really don't even notice. I can imagine, Jim, like what you're up to, the amount of conversations you're having, the people that you're seeing, everything that's moving. You're really only even noticing the BS that's happening in the world on a small scale, just because your time is occupied. I know that when I get busy, and you don't have to answer that, I'm just kind of speaking for you if that's okay. You can if you want to, but I'm just saying, right? I know me, that when I'm really busy with good stuff, purposeful, meaningful action in the world, like the stuff that's everybody else is worried about, it doesn't even you're kind of like creating your own little wormhole to the future. And the stuff that is affecting the rest of the world, you kind of just go right by it.
Yep.
And you're actually, because most people find themselves behind all the time. They never catch up. There's one thing after another, right?
Why are you looking at me?
Because you're sitting directly across from me.
So, Jim, do you want to add anything to what Ben just said?
Well, it's right on. I turned off all of the news, and I started living my life outside and with people and serving in a way that also serves myself and my family. Like, it literally aligns with everything. And for those listening, if you want to be in the business of helping people live free and abundant lives, we have one of the fastest growing cooperatives ever. It's an incredible business model to help people grow food and be free.
So how can people get a hold of you? Give them your website, your phone number, anything that you can give our listeners to contact you.
Absolutely. It's foodforestabundance.com, and reach out, and we've got an amazing team now. We started with a handful of people a year ago. We are now 700 people around the world.
OMG, I'm telling you, when you are a servant leader, the rest is history, I tell you. When you do it for others versus doing it for yourself and the love for people, that's it. Yeah. The rest is history. And I admire you. And behind every good man, there's a great, amazing woman. And behind every great, amazing woman, there's a great man. So I applaud you. Yeah. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you're doing and making a difference and bringing food to our schools. We definitely need that.
Thank you so much. And happy Mother's Day, and great chatting with y'all.
Oh, it's a pleasure is mine.
And anybody that is interested in talking to Jim's organization about possibly turning your own personal front yard or backyard, because you have an HOA, into a sustainable source of food, go for it, because they know exactly what they're doing. They know how to make it work the first time so that you don't lose, because people could do permaculture and plant things all the time and they make mistakes and things die and you have to start over. They've got it down to a science.
That's awesome.
And they use nothing but the highest quality stuff. And I've seen some of these designs. I mean, look. So I'm looking at your website right now, right? And then we'll kind of, because we got only a couple minutes. But pistachios, apples. What's this? Goumi, Goumi. Peaches, pistachios, coffee, apples, almonds.
Look at that.
Walnuts, grapefruits, lemon limes, guava, avocado. Carrots, beets, onions. Run down some of the lists that I didn't talk about that you're putting in people's yards real quick.
Everything that you can name, and thousands of things that you don't know the name of. Like, literally everything that's edible, depending on the zone and the microclimate and the customer's choice.
That's true.
Like, diversity is where the strength is. So in my yard, I will have hundreds of different types of food growing.
And I got to tell you, the fact that people can finance this, if you can finance a car,
oh man,
you can finance this.
This is awesome.
And not have to worry about, say, food shortages that are probably and most likely going to happen at some level everywhere, just because they need to do what they need to do. So, amazing stuff, Jim. I really appreciate you coming on today. Hope to have you back. And I think we're talking about maybe even Jim being part of the show, as a sponsor.
As a sponsor? Yeah, I spoke to MOF, Marketing on Fire, and they're coming as a segment sponsor, support sponsor.
Fantastic.
Woo!
Nice. That's a whole
Sending
different
them a
conversation.
Contract tomorrow.
That's great.
So, yes.
Nice.
And
Awesome.
Jim, thank you for bringing back our code, because I remember when my great-great-grandmother, they all picked up the foods, the medical supplies, and everything that they used to get to take care of themselves health-wise and medically, they would get it from the backyard. And I'm so glad that you're bringing that back.
Yep.
Thank you.
And the teaching to help it as well.
Education.
So thank you all. You have a fantastic day, and I'm looking forward to chatting again anytime.
Yes. Happy Mother's Day to your wife.
Have an amazing Sunday, Jim. We got
and your mom.
We got a few minutes left.
And your
That's
mother-in-law.
Okay, so.
And all the amazing women in your family.
Appreciate you, brother. We'll speak soon.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Be well.
Bye-bye.
Wow.
Right?
Now see, I promised dynamic guests on this show.
That's what we're going to have.
Yeah.
That's all we're going to have. Entopia?
I know.
What is that? I want to do more research on that. Topia.
He actually showed me, I think it was Link Q. Let me just kind of Link Q. I have to find, I think it's that company right there. LINQ, something like that.
Okay.
Anyways, don't.
I want to talk about that coin that you're making $3 already.
Oh, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, real quick.
So,
please.
Miss Tabio.
Yes.
EasyBot.
Yes,
right?
EasyBot.
So I was speaking about this earlier, and hopefully we'll be bringing this to the audience soon enough.
No, we will be bringing it to the audience.
I defer to your authority on that.
Yeah.
All right, we slap my hand. So we have
we have 2 minutes left. Woo! Narrow it down, Ben.
Narrow it down?
Let's see how fast you can narrow this down.
So since 8 p.m. last night when I turned this on, trading with $600, it's already made me about $3. And that's not even 24 hours. And I've had a couple other people trading on it for about 10 or 12 days, and they're up trading about the same amount. They're up like 30 or 40 bucks.
Wow.
So what we're looking to do is, once we're confident and we've vetted it out and we're clear that this is something we want to share, we're going to share it with the audience, because it's a way to, what they say, generate income without actually doing anything, just having your money work for you, and it compounds and it grows, and it does it 24/7. And, you know, the way we actually met was from the other bot last year, right? So with the community that we're in, they built their own bot. So we know all the owners, we know the entire leadership team, we know everything about them.
Community.
And we're playing with it right now, and nothing but green lights.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. The rest is going to be history, Ben.
More high fives.
Oh, yeah, more high fives. So we have 1 minute, so we have to say bye, Ben. This is the number one. What? Say, I don't have my notes in front of me.
So we're the number one premier crypto radio show in South Florida, CryptoShyp Radio. The CryptoShyp Radio Show. Now, that's ship spelled with a Y. Why? You ask why, do you?
Yes, I do. Why?
Well, our why is about you.
Absolutely.
Because we're servant leaders.
Yes, we are.
And we're doing our best to bring you the stories behind the stories on cryptocurrency as we see them. It's a vast, vast universe of stories, so there's no shortage. But what we want to do is support, I'm pointing to you out in the audience, support you all to have an opportunity to understand further what's not being said in the news, and also bring you safe and effective, trusted vehicles to get involved without making a mistake.
Woo! So you're listening to Angie and Ben.
Jim in.
The number one
crypto premier radio show in South Florida.
Have an amazing, blessed
week.
And for all those wonderful mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. And God
Day
bless you. Have an amazing day. And Mom, thank you so much for joining us today.
The Queen Bee.
Love you, the Queen Bee.
Have an amazing Sunday.
Have an amazing Sunday. See you next week. Bye-bye.
The presenters are not financial advisors, and the opinions presented should not be construed as financial advice. Trading cryptocurrency carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Before deciding to invest in cryptocurrency, you should carefully consider your investment objectives, level of experience, and risk appetite. You should be aware of all the risks associated with cryptocurrency trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. Past performance is not indicative of future results. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.